And we're back. The Lakers Fast Break podcast and our good friends at the Pop Culture Cosmos. It's Gerald Glassford, along with my good friend Xbox, aka Mark, all the way down from Australia. He is here today because he was here with me live when the announcement came, as we were live on the Lakers Fast Break, as one of the greatest trades in NBA history got announced over this past weekend. And in fact, if you want to see a reaction video, I not only have the full thing available on Lakers Fast Break wherever you get your podcasts, but for those people that are a member of the Lakers Fast Break, they'll get to see it first. We'll have a 10-minute reaction video as we saw it live, a condensed version that you've been asking for. It'll be available for members here by the end of the day. So go ahead and look for that indeed. But it is, of course, Gerald Glassford. I wanted to go ahead and give a big shout out to all of our radio stations from all around the world on the Pop Culture Cosmos. Truly cannot thank you enough for joining us. I normally don't put Lakers Fast Break stuff on the Pop Culture Cosmos, but this is an exception because of how much this changes the landscape of the future, not just for the Lakers, not just for the Dallas Mavericks, but for the entire NBA going forward as one of the premier athletes in all of the NBA. A guy who's been in the top 5 MVP voting for the past few years, led his team to the NBA Finals last season. He's injured now. He'll be coming back soon. And he'll be coming back as a Los Angeles Lakers as he got traded from his longtime home, the Dallas Mavericks, to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, a first-round draft pick. There's some more ancillary stuff that was involved from both the Lakers side, also as well the Jazz. Utah Jazz was involved as a third party, taking a contract and some second-round draft picks in order to do so. But the main story here is Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic. And here today to discuss that with me, again, a guy who was here with me at the time it was announced. It is, of course, Mark, aka Xbox. Xbox, it's been 24 hours since we've heard the news. How do you feel now? How have you been seeing through life at this point in time? There's been this euphoria. Even our good friend Joe Soro, the always charismatic, the always vocal Joe Soro, at that point in time, the most unusual thing happened. He was in such shock. I've never seen this before. He himself was dead silent during this whole thing.
And if that doesn't show you the impact of the trade, maybe nothing will. But isn't it ironic that you've got me on the Cosmos when we've promised you to come on before for things like the Switch 2? But this is what's got me on ultimately. So I'll just say sorry to you.
Oh, you'll be coming on for more for that. Absolutely, my friend. Yes.
Of course. But yeah, Gerald, I don't think I have gotten over what's happened, to be honest. And, obviously we're on different time zones. So I had about, when we finished the stream yesterday, it was about 5, 6 o'clock my time. So I had a few hours to simmer on it before I went to bed. Between that time, I somehow, I don't think you can see it, but I pretty much broke my thumb in excitement. There was noise complaints from neighbors. Everything was happening. But long story short, honestly, I'm normally a pretty good sleeper. I wouldn't say I'm, a deep sleeper. I felt like I was waking up every hour, and all I could think about was the trade. It was just, it consumed me, and it still has. It's a Monday here, guys. I finished work half an hour ago, but man, even during work, I was writing emails or I was talking to clients. I just wanted to say Luka over and over. And to Work's credit, they know I'm a big Laker fan. A lot of people were reaching out to me to get my read on the trade and things like that. So, yeah, like you mentioned it before, the Lakerholics went on today. Obviously, you boys went on earlier, and we've sort of looked for a trade that's in comparison to this. I'm not a historian of the game like yourselves, but someone did say today that this is on par with, say, Wilt being traded. Obviously, it was a lot different time in the 60s, and then someone mentioned Kareem as well. So this is big as it gets, and honestly, I can't wait to see him in a Laker uniform. All I want to say, there's words in the chat that he's landed in LA, which is fantastic. He's got to be treating now this little time off that he's got as a little mini preseason to sharpen himself up, to get fit, and come out for the Lakers and see what we can do. Our immediate reaction when you go back and you look at the video that you've posted, Gerald, etc., there was a little bit of hesitation. Are we better now? Are we better later? I don't know,
We didn't
man.
think it was real. We
No, well,
did
that's
not think it
it.
was
So
real.
in between that, we couldn't really think properly. But
Yes.
I'm sorry, and there's a lot of people in the chat that have different thoughts. I've been saying it for a while, in personally and on this stream since you've had me, Gerald. I wanted AD traded, so to get AD traded for Luka, it's a shock to me, and I'm still. I thought we might trade him in a package for, but yeah, to get Luka pretty much in a straight trade for AD, you couldn't have thought of that in a million years. There's no NBA fan that would have thought that trade. And you saw it with the reactions of the other NBA players, Kevin Durant, the Portland players finding out during the game. It's an insane trade, and it's impacted the league, and it's game changing. So I just can't wait to see him in a Laker uniform, a Luka uniform. We might be able to play on those words in the future, but Luka Magic's here, so yeah, stoked.
Once
Okay.
again, it is Mark, aka
Yeah.
Xbox, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again watching this. We truly appreciate it. Again, our good friends, the Pop Culture Cosmos, are always checking us out as well. Truly appreciate them joining us. And again, for all the radio stations around the world that will be listening to this, thank you so much again. Again, I know it's not our normal video games, movies, television, the stuff that we're going into, but again, this changes the landscape, Mark, in so many ways for the NBA because Luka Doncic is one of the premier athletes in the game, but also one of the most visible athletes overseas. A lot of the radio stations I deal with are in Europe, and there are in various places around the world. But yes, in Europe, they are really knowledgeable and follow the game closely. And when it comes right down to it, having the face of the Lakers for the foreseeable future after LeBron James retires will be Luka Doncic on the most, world popularity of team in the Los Angeles Lakers. Are probably the popular team in the NBA by far worldwide. We've talked about Australia, Philippines, Spain, Brazil, Italy. I've had people from all around the world who
China.
actually follow, the Lakers Fast Break channel. Absolutely. This is an impact of global proportions, my friend.
Yeah, well said, Gerald. And I hide this fact a little bit, but my mum's actually from Madrid, and she's a Real Madrid fan. So I've known about Luca maybe longer than some of the people even here. And he's not just big in America, and in particular Dallas, where I've been reading today that this guy was as big as the Prescott, the quarterback for the Cowboys. Which, to have a basketball player, maybe he's not overall, Gerald. I'll get your thoughts on that. But to have someone as big as an NFL player, that plays for the Cowboys in that market, the dude's an absolute superstar. Like, he is massive in Europe. It's pretty much him and then Joker and Giannis. He's first because Joker in particular wasn't sort of touted with the way that Luca has since he's been 14, 15 years of age. This guy's big time. We've seen, and LeBron. That's always the perplexing thing about LeBron for me is LeBron's really, he's obviously revered worldwide, but he's massive in America. Luka's big internationally, and so is LeBron. But I'm telling you now, even at this age, Luka's bigger than this guy. The impact on the club is going to be huge. You've seen it with the way the channel's been inundated over the last day or so, and Twitter, etc., etc. So we've got a global superstar for the biggest basketball franchise in the world. I heard people talking yesterday. They were speculating that Lakers might be the biggest sporting team in the world. Obviously, I have to say Barcelona's on par. But in reality,
well, they're not even in
Joe.
value. They're still only third
Yeah.
in the NBA in overall value. So,
and you can throw in Cowboys. Yeah, but from fandom point of view, yeah, for me, they're the biggest sporting organization in America because they're worldwide. And I know
Mhm.
that the NFL reaches the world as well, but not like basketball and baseball, Yankees, Dodgers, etc. It's kind of a homegrown sport. Obviously, there's Japanese. So we've got someone that's transcendent and can take the club to an even bigger or level than it is. So it's crazy. And when you had to break down his individual play, in isolation, yeah, there's been issues with his weight and things like that. He's never going to be more motivated than he is in LA. So Dallas, Nico Harrison. I mean, the if you saw that press conference today with Jay Kidd, that Jay Kidd was struggling, and I've been joking that he might call JJ and ask for an assistant role. I mean, he was assistant when we won in 2020 because he might want to stick with Luka. They've absolutely blown up that franchise, but we'll take it every day of the week because we've got a superstar, and it's incredible what we can see going forward. People want to play with Luka too, Gerald. Don't forget
Yes.
that as well.
Yes, absolutely. And just to see him at this point, again, a guy who has been several times already in the top five of MVP voting, several times an all star, one of the greatest players on the planet, and to be offered that. And of course, if you're looking at the reports as they came in, not only by ESPN as far as the overall letting you know the identity as far as the trade itself, but also how it came about. And according to the reports, if you want to take them at face value, which I am in this case, because again, it's from the same individual who broke the story, Shams Charania from ESPN, he indicated that LeBron James didn't know this was going down. He did. AD didn't know this was going down. Uh, Nobody out there knew it was going down outside of the general managers involved, and then of course the owners to give their okay at the end of the day, because the owners have to give their okay. But it looked like, from what the reports are saying, is that Dallas had issues because of the commitment that Luka was not making towards maintaining good health and his good weight and his conditioning. He was out injured recently, still out injured recently. Reports have him up as high as 250, 260, 270, which is beyond his playing weight. Normally that would be. They just had a real hard time because they would have to commit, according to the salary cap rules. They would probably have to offer him an extension in the summer, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $345 million. So, with that being said, it looks like the owners who, and this is a common misperception in the past 24 hours, Mark. People thought that Mark Cuban, the longtime owner of the Dallas Mavericks, still owned the Dallas Mavericks. No, he actually owns a 27% stake. He sold off the majority of his stake to other investors, and those investors, those owners now, were the ones that were probably saying that to the general manager, Nico Harrison of Dallas, you have to look elsewhere for something. We need to commit and go into a different direction. And so, thus, Nico Harrison is a big fan of Anthony Davis, has always been a big fan of Anthony Davis. So one day, I guess according to Shams about maybe a month ago, that's what they're saying, is he go ahead and he put that on the lap of general manager of the Lakers, Rob Pelinka. So your thoughts as this comes around full circle a month later, if you believe all the reports, Luka Doncic is now a Laker.
Well, I commented today that when Nico Harrison gets fired, that we should hire him just to say thanks, because honestly, I can't believe that that's the logic around the trade. What were they thinking? They got Kyrie Irving in to play with this guy. They got other players to play with this guy. Something's not right to me. And Shams, credit broke the story. It's only 8 days ago he was interviewing AD and putting out there that AD was requesting, players to come into the squad. So it's really hard to believe what's happened here. I'm going to stay consistent with what I've said for a few weeks now, that AD started to me to be looking like he knew that he was potentially getting traded. Just the way he was talking, the way he was on the pitch or the court, sorry, might not have been reflective, certainly in the Hornets game where he had a big game. I also didn't feel like he was that injured, and he should have been there for New York. He should have been there for this tough road run. Trust me, he'll be back with Dallas as soon as he's available in 3 or 4 days. He'll be playing for them. I don't. I just felt like there was a bit more going on in the background. Now, whether or not they knew it was for Luka and LeBron signed off on that, or AD was involved in any of those discussions, that's possibly coming out now to say, hey, no, they weren't. But I think they knew something was going on. It's just how I feel. It was my gut feel, and I've been consistent on it. So fine. But to actually look at this trade in isolation, what have the Mavs done? I mean, why wouldn't you at least go to the market and say, hey, we're trading Luca. What can you give us? All right, Lakers, this is what we can get. What can you do? They could have got, Gerald, let's be honest. They could have gone to OKC. They could have gone to Brooklyn. They could have gone to anyone and loaded up on 5, 6, 7 picks, star players. This is not like this is a big look at KD's reaction to it. He still can't believe it happened. So um, the Dallas Mavericks, I've said this a few times. I'm thankful to you that you've done this, but I don't really like you anymore because, yeah, your read on Luca, who is now our superstar, is incredibly wrong. And we'll prove that, and he'll prove that in a Laker jersey. I'm certain of it. The guy's a star. He nearly took Slovenia, a country of 2 million people, to almost get a bronze medal in the Olympics. He's a one-man wrecking crew. So, and now he's got the support of the Lakers franchise. Um, Nico Harrison and the Mavs, thank you, but you got some serious issues over there, big time.
Once again, I'm on with my good friend, Mr. Mark, aka Xbox from Australia. It is Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for joining us. Pop Culture Cosmos, Lakers Fast Break, Lakers Live, and also as well Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. Cannot thank you enough for joining us. Inside Sports as well for our live coverage, the aftermath of the Luka Doncic trade. So the question is for the rest of our show is, okay, Luka Doncic, one of the greatest players in the world, when he comes back healthy, which we're hoping he does sooner rather than later if you're Lakers fans, is now a Laker. What happens now? The trade deadline for the NBA, just to let everyone know out there, if you're not familiar with it, is going to fall on February the 6th at high noon Pacific time, which is 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern Standard Time. So with that, my friend, I wanted to ask your thoughts on where this goes from here. Rob Pelinka, he had this deal fall in his lap. But again, as I told Joe, as I told you, and as I told everyone out there earlier, he gets the credit because he closed the deal. And he closed the deal without giving up the most prized assets that he has in both first round draft picks that they're eligible to go ahead and trade. He only had to trade one, and also Anthony Davis. It's clear that Nico Harrison obviously had a fixation on on Anthony Davis. So that much is probably why he didn't shop Luka Doncic around. Plus the massive headache that would have ensued and the social media candor that probably would have ensued with it as well. What probably might be small reasons as far as that's concerned as well. But when it comes right down to it, there are still a few days left as this airing right now on what direction the Lakers need to go. And we've been going back and forth. Yes, this is for the future with Luka Doncic, but right now you have two of the greatest players on earth. Even with LeBron James still at 40, he is still one of the best players on the planet at his peak, which we saw in recent games while AD was injured. He could still play at an extremely high level. There is the temptation for the Lakers to still do one or two trades or two moves or one move, if it's a big one, to go ahead and help the Lakers out and help them win sooner rather than later.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to look at it now that we've got Luca in the club with LeBron. LeBron might have 18 months left in his NBA career. Is he really going to settle for the next 4 months or the rest of this season to just be a write-off? I don't think so, Tim. So I'd be looking at the big men. You know, we keep speculating about the names, Turner, Vooch, some other names being thrown in lately, Capella, Claxton, all sorts of names, any big man. And I'd be looking to make that happen. And
Mhm.
sorry if I'm going down a path that people don't want to
No,
explore.
please.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
If Rui's the one that's going to make that happen, you got to think about it because he's on the
Another
third
name
pick.
has been mentioned though, as because it's now yet a position where you have went from being short on as far as playmakers are concerned to now having two of the best playmakers out there in LeBron and Luka is Austin Reeves, who's on a very nice contract, notwithstanding.
Yeah, look, and we've said it the whole time we've spoken, Gerald, that no one is off the trade table, and that included AR in the right circumstances. And unfortunately for him, this might be the right circumstance for the Lakers, not necessarily for his career in LA. But I also maintain the fact that this guy signed a contract pretty much when he could have got maybe double, triple, maybe not triple, but certainly double in the off season. There was a loyalty there for the Lakers. I know there was speculation that there wasn't all these teams in for him. Give me a break. There's no team that wouldn't want Austin Reeves on their squad for the amount of money he's on at the moment. So that'd be the last contract I would try to trade. But if it needs to go, you're definitely going to think about it right now. Also heard the Lakerholics talk today, and Laker Tom sort of mentioned that he didn't think, they would play Luka and AR in the backcourt. I don't know why not. Like we've been complaining that AR's not a primary ball handler. Well, this takes that away from him, so he can just go back to doing what he does best, scoring, and then hopefully concentrating a bit on the defensive end. I know that defensive lineup doesn't look super strong, but we might score 150 points. I've watched Barcelona teams where they've only focused on attack, and we won a lot. So you can look at it a few different ways. But for me, no, AR, unless it's one of these big guys, yeah, you do it, but he's not the first name that you put on the table. You start talking about Rui, you start talking about how Gabe can be involved in something, because Gabe's also surplus to requirements now a bit as well if you put AR in his position. So we've got a few things that we can do here, Gerald, and to his credit, I'm sure Rob, who has moved up a few notches in all our books at the moment, would be doing something or thinking about doing something. So let's see what the next few days plays out. Unfortunately, as well, this move does put, it makes us a little bit more vulnerable in terms of what teams are going to ask from us because they know that we need a center now. So it's an interesting interesting week to go here. We'll see what happens. But yeah, of course, I'll be looking to make a move. But I honestly, I just feel like Rui could be the one that facilitates the best move for us because of his contract. I feel like we've got a replacement there in DFS. I feel like LeBron can play the small forward minutes as well. I think we can patch that a bit better. Even AR can sort of step up to like a taller defender. So we'll just see. We'll see. I'm not saying Rui, pack your bags, but yeah, it's got to be. You've got to look at everyone else rather than AR, in my opinion, Gerald. Unless that's going to get you what you want.
I will tell you though, it's going to be very interesting to see, as Youngie said in the chat, and welcome, Young. Appreciate you joining us. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a very interesting few days leading up to the trade deadline, and we'll absolutely see what happens. And you know what? Anybody in the chat saying that the defense is going to be terrible, defense is going to be terrible, you are absolutely right. If you looked at it right now, absolutely right now, their defense for the Lakers is absolutely terrible. But I also know that Sports Baby said, "Well, do you think this was done intentionally to hurt LeBron?" No, I don't think this was done intentionally to hurt LeBron. Again, I am taking the reports at face value, Mark. And if that's the case, Dallas was the one that approached them. And if Dallas is approaching you, and in case of Sports Baby, I use Sports Baby's his team is the Indiana Pacers. Let's
Yeah,
say Dallas came to Indiana and said, "You know what? I want to trade you, Luka." And it didn't involve their best player, Tyrese Halliburton. So he gets traded to Indiana. I don't think that would be a slight on Tyrese Halliburton, even though it is repetitive. Like LeBron, they're both playmakers. So I would like to say again, I don't think this was a slight on LeBron at all. You're just offered a good deal. It's an offer you can't afford to refuse, Xbox.
no, well said. I mean, yeah, like how is it a
It's like
slight
when you go to
on?
the store. It's like when you go in
Yeah,
the store and you're looking at the soda aisle and you see your favorite soda that you've always wanted to have as a kid. You walk by it, but you've already got the shopping cart full of soda, and you know already at home you've got it already racked up with 6 packs at home of soda at the in the fridge. You
to
want
soda
it.
off.
You don't necessarily need that specific soda, but you know what? It's the best tasting soda you probably ever will have in your life. So you got to go ahead and get it, my friend.
Good way to describe Luca. Nah, I'm telling you right now, the Pacers would have traded Halliburton for for Luca. I'm sorry, it would have happened. Like Luca's 25, turning 26. People talking about AD being 31. He's 32. He's turning 32 in like a month's time. That's crazy. I'm pretty sure, honestly, and I said it yesterday as well. The only trade that's bigger than this right now, Gerald, would have been a straight trade for Joker. But what's bigger than that right now? This trade's insane. Luca was
Yeah.
the face of their franchise. Something's, yeah, we can go on about it. I'm sorry to cover off all ground, but something, he's demanded the trade. Something's happened there. Nothing's right. Something's going on because it's insane that they've even done this, and we'll take it. But yeah, like anyone would have traded, they would have traded multiple assets for Luca and multiple young players. OKC, honestly, they wouldn't have traded SGA. Man, maybe even they would have traded Chet. You just don't know. This guy is just so transcendent. And honestly, I watched some highlights today, Gerald. Do you remember when they played Minnesota last year and he
Mm-hmm.
took on Rudy Gobert with a couple seconds to go and just absolutely ripped him and then shot a three from the logo? This guy's done last second shots that look like he's, playing NBA 2K. So, nah, man, like Pacers, unlucky you didn't get the chance to get him, but you would have. And shout out to SB who loves the Pacers, and we follow them closely because of him. But yeah, it's not a slight on LeBron. You had to take this. You would have ripped his hand off. There's speculation that Rob thought he was joking because it's insane. And the other thing that I said yesterday, and I keep saying it, AD had his chance, Gerald. Okay, you stepped up in 2020, thank you, and you won the chip for us. Well, and you played so well during those finals. But then he's had 4 years with LeBron from the age of 35 to now, where really it's been very disappointing. I know he's had a lot of injuries, but regular season, we're always in play-in or playing catch up. Yeah, you can put it down to coaches. But AD during that time was at his peak. He was 27, 28, 29, 30. And I kept saying this. He's a bit of a downhill skier. When things were going well, AD was on top of the world. But when adversity hit, he kept choking. He kept choking with free throws late in games. I know he's won games for us guys as well late, but there was massive concerns for me there, and I could not believe that we were going into a period where LeBron was going to retire and AD was going to carry the team from what age 33 to 36. AD might be retired in 2 or 3 years, guys. He's a big, big man. Things can change very quickly for big men like that. He's had a lot of injuries too. So has Luca, but those muscle injuries and things like that you can get right. AD's had a lot of structural injuries honestly, yeah, like it had to be done. You would have. It didn't matter the fact that this might take the ball away from LeBron. They'll make it work. LeBron would be licking his lips right now. He hasn't come out on Twitter and done his usual shenanigans there because he's probably loving it. He might have got
Well,
sick of AD
he's been
too.
just diffusing, just said rumors about how he doesn't like he didn't like AD or he wanted to facilitate a trade for
Yeah,
AD. Yeah, there was stuff like that put out there by, for instance, CBS Sports and whatnot that he absolutely debunked, and because he and AD, I guess, have a still strong relationship even to this day, and I know he was exactly again according to reports not brought up to speed on it until after the trade was consummated. So again, I'm going to read everything at face value. I know we've speculated on how
Yeah.
much control LeBron has with the organization. But I have a
You're awesome.
thank you, John. Truly appreciate you becoming a member. Absolutely. Cannot thank you enough for doing so. But Mark, I wanted to ask you this again. I really think when it comes right down to it, that when it comes down to it, the Lakers, they had to make this move. When you're offered a chance to go ahead and be relevant for the next 7 to 10 years with Luka Doncic as the head of your franchise, it's something you just can't pass up.
No, and we've got the other superstar on our team's about to retire, and this might make his decision around retiring a bit easier for him. I'm not too sure how all that's going to play out, but of course you had to make the trade, and it's done now. And that's the most exciting thing. And what we gave up to, like, we you would have thought surely they're going to ask for both picks. So whether or not that was a tough negotiation at all, and Rob got one of the picks back, well, you'll find out in the mix. But the actual trade, just in isolation, I mean, I like Kleber too. I think we're forgetting. I know he's injured right now, but
Yeah, broken bone in his foot.
Man, remember Kleber absolutely killed us? Did he? He shot a game winner, I remember, one time.
Yes, he did.
At
Maxi
Staples.
Kleber, who
Sorry.
was also included in the trade along with Markieff Morris. Maxi Kleber is currently out. I believe, is out for the year, or at least the next 3 months, because he had surgery on a broken bone in his foot that he suffered about a little over a week ago, I believe. Yeah. No, well, I don't know if it's again. It's probably a 2 to 3 month issue. And my assumption is that he would probably be here at the tail end of the season if that's the case, if he is kept, because again, the Lakers can utilize his salary along with others in a trade. His can only be dealt with by himself for another player, but you can group other players for other trades before the trade deadline.
Gotcha. Is that Markieff Morris? Was he playing for them in any capacity?
Yes. So AD. Oh, no, he wasn't playing because he was on a veteran minimum. No, he wasn't playing anything for them. But Markieff Morris was just trade. He was just trade filler as far as to match salaries and whatnot, along with JHS that moved over with his expiring salary to Utah. But yeah, it's just funny because we lost the only other player with LeBron that won their last championship in 2020, and we gained back Markieff Morris, who was on that team. So technically, we still have two people from that championship roster. So
we were thinking of LeBron then. We're conscious of his feelings in that 2020 squad. So we got Morris back, but I don't know. Was he not playing there because they had a bit too much depth in those positions? Could he play for us in any capacity?
Probably not. I mean, we're talking about 5 years. Remember, maybe he was waived, I believe, by Detroit at the time. Before he came to the Lakers. Lakers got him on a buyout. So he was already a journeyman in the league, and he has found a way to find back into the rosters for the past 5 years. So I'm not sure how much he could be effective for us. And again, I think the Lakers need to look at bigger fish. If Markieff gives you anything, great. But I think, again, with the size issue now that the Lakers have, they do need to look as far as filling up some holes, even if it's just to stay relevant. But if you can make the right trade with that first, they still have left, the first round pick, they still have left, Mark. And also as well, the very attractive contract of Austin Reeves, who is a very productive player, a guy who can be a starter on a lot of teams, can be a key reserve on others. Also as well, of course, Rui Hashimura, who is shooting a blistering 43% from three-point area and was shot really well in their last game in Madison Square Garden against New York Knicks. Those are very attractive contracts. And then, Gabe Vincent, who has played exceptionally well coming off the bench in the past 10 days after being the much maligned Gabe Vincent by you, by me, by everyone over the past year and change. He is, if you could utilize his salary, go ahead. I would like to see that happen because, again, I don't know how much productivity we can continue to count on from Gabe Vincent, but it's going good right now. Those are the kind of contracts that may be able to be easier facilitated as opposed to someone, say, Jared Vanderbilt, who has a 4-year contract and is just coming back from getting both his feet surgically repaired. And then also as well, Maxi Kleber, again, he would have to be traded for just one other individual. It had to be a one-on-one due to the contract rules and
Okay.
as far as with the salary cap and the way it's they do these things out in the CBA. But yeah, your thoughts on where the Lakers should go next? Because again, I think even if you have to just say, you know what, we're just going to play, we're going to do okay, get these guys going, we're going to go ahead in the future. You still have to get something to shore up the entire back line, which is now has a gaping hole that Anthony Davis once stood in.
Yeah, well, and when's the trade deadline exactly, Gerald, for you in the
Thursday
US? Okay,
in the
so
US, it'll be at
6th?
noon Pacific time. Yes, on the 6th.
Okay, so
Thursday
we'll
the
have
6th, US
it'll be
Pacific
the
time,
7th
noon.
here. It'll be in the
Mm-hmm.
future for us, but man, I'd be a little bit in shock if we don't pull something between now and then. Like you say, and like we spoke about before, although Austin wouldn't be the first person that I look to trade, obviously
Mm-hmm.
it's very appealing. So in the latter hours of, the trade period, if it gets down to that, maybe he's there. But we'd be talking to teams right now, obviously, about who we can bring in, because bringing in a big man now and having a starting big man, so you go, you have whoever that is, and then you have, would it be, you'd say Vando, maybe in the four, LeBron, and then whoever's the shooting guard, and then you got Luka at the point. Um, Man, that's a pretty great team. Because Vando doesn't need to score when you got to do like Luke, and he doesn't score anyway. But there's not going to be that pressure when you got guys that are going to be averaging 30 odd points. So, um, I really like the sound of that, depending on that center. Now we've got to get a center who can contribute as well, not just a defending. Like he's got to be able to defend, but he's got to be able to score too. That's why I probably don't understand the contracts as well as yourself, Gerald. But that's why I was really intrigued with the guy in Chicago, because obviously I've watched him this year.
Nikola Vucevic.
Yeah, I've watched them because my boy Giddy, and he can play. And even so, even we had concerns, could he fit with AD? Well, he doesn't need to anymore. So him with Vando, that's not bad. With LeBron there and Luca there, and depending on who we trade for and who's left on the bench, also feel like Luca could unlock a bit of Dalton's game, or maybe give him some confidence that he's lost. We don't know that for fact. Obviously, that's going to have to come from Dalton, but Dalton would be pretty excited right now as well. So yeah, it's just we're gonna have to wait and see. The next few days is going to be so interesting, and anytime you get a notification on your phone, you're going to be hoping it's a Lakers trade, etc. Yeah, and then we'll be communicating between each other in different time zones. I wake up now and there's, between the time I go to bed, there's about 75 messages because you guys are all up during that night, and then I start messaging you when you're asleep, and it's just a mad circle right now. So let's just wait to see what happens. Rob's proven, to his credit, right or wrong, Westbrook,
Rob
etc.
Pelinka, general manager of the Los Angeles
Yeah,
Lakers.
has proven that he can pull a trade. He's done this one. So let's wait and see. I really hope they don't waste it though, because if you're talking about LeBron still being a top 10 player in the league, then you can't waste this opportunity to pair him with a young Luka, and hopefully bring in a center that's extremely serviceable to just add to this team. So yeah, man, honestly, the next 3 days, I was joking on the weekend that I was hoping to organize a medical certificate for about 2 weeks off work because I couldn't get over what was happening. I am going to work, guys. I'm pretty loyal to my job, but I'm going to be struggling because this is all I'm going to be thinking about. So yeah, man, I honestly just want to fast forward. Maybe that Click in, you remember Click, talking about Cosmos related stuff, the movie Click with Adam Sandler? If I had this little
Absolutely.
clicker right now, I'd be clicking up until Thursday, trade deadline time, to find out what is going on, because it's going to be super exciting. If we can get someone in, game change. If we don't, let's ride with the boys that we have and see what happens. Luke is a special player.
Once again, it is Mark, aka Xbox. He is here along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this. Big shout out again to everyone that's listening on the Pop Culture Cosmos. Of course, Lakers Fast Break, Inside Sports, Lakers Live, and of course, John Costa's Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner as well. We're on all these different outlets and also radio stations being played all around the world. Wanted to get everyone in touch with what's going on because, again, it's not just the basketball impact. And the reason why I'm putting this hour of our conversation on the Pop Culture Cosmos is because of the ramification that it has long term when you have one of the marquee players go to one of the marquee franchises. It happened not too long ago in 2018, I believe, when LeBron James decided as a free agent to go to the Los Angeles Lakers. And the way it elevated the league and way it as far as brought a presence to the league, not just in the States, but again, worldwide. And as someone who is not in the United States, I think it really hits home a lot more when one of these international stars, they go to a marquee franchise like this. You know, all those individuals out there buying Lucas jerseys that were being sold at 77 on the Mavs for years. Just a huge industry in and of itself. I can relate to the Lakers already. I've told you before when I've gone to the Lakers store, Rui Hashimura, who is of Japanese descent. There are Japanese tourists when I went there coming in and out asking for Rui Hashimura jerseys, and they told each and every one of them we had sold
Sold
out
out. Yeah.
weeks ago through 4 cases full at the specific store of Rui Hashimura jerseys. So it goes without saying because it is such an international sport that it now connects to an audience worldwide. It is no longer just such a domestic United States product. It is now something that the whole world, as we saw with the Olympics, the whole world is catching up, not just on the floor, but off it as well, Mark.
And Gerald, I'm going to be brutally honest. If you had 4 cases or whatever of Rui jerseys, you better get 4,000 ready for Luka, because this is a completely different level guy, like a complete different level. Rui's big in Japan because he's Japanese, and they're very proud people, as we all are, and we support, like I do with Giddy, for example. But Luca is big everywhere, so they'll be printing the jerseys right now. They'd be Genie and Rob and what have you, whoever cares about the money around the club. All they'd be seeing is dollar signs. Not only the impact to the team, but this is a. I mean, we signed Bronny for money. This just, you could get rid of Bronny in a heartbeat because this guy's just gonna kill it. And this guy's jersey will be the number one in the league. I'm telling you right now. Within whatever how they measure that time frame or whatever, Luka's going to have the number one jersey, 77 for the Lakers, and you're going to see it everywhere. I see it here in Australia. I'll be walking down the shops, and currently I'm seeing LeBron jerseys, obviously with a 23, or some people still have his 8. You might see the odd Kobe
You mean
jersey, but
number
that's being the
six?
sorry, 6. Yeah, 8 was for Kobe's, and you might see the odd Kobe jersey. You're just going to see an influx of Luka jerseys ASAP. So the trade's massive, and people are talking about it in the chat, but it's exactly what I thought of it as well straight away. Kyrie went there to play with him. Clay went there to play with him. Gafford, all, I know they were drafted, but all these boys always talking about Luka. Like, they were happy for Luka to have the ball 80, 90% of the game because they just know, man. You see the way the other players reacted in the league. This guy's not just another player. He's a super, super talent. So they're going to have issues, obviously. And that was the thing for me. Like, Kyrie, okay, he's been under control in Dallas, but other places he hasn't. And how could they have looked at him to take over the team when he's never proven that he can carry a team? So that whole thing, I know we don't want to focus too much on Dallas, but good point by Hudson in the chat, and there's a lot of
Yes.
speculation now about them. So we will see where that goes for the Mavs. But yeah, Luca, I said it before, Gerald. Yeah, I am Spanish, so I know a lot about the Spanish league, and sadly, he's a big Real Madrid fan, but he is massive in Spain. And Spain's only one country. It's not even his home country. So the impact is it's worldwide and it's going to be long lasting. We just got to now hope that Luka, like I said before, is treating this like a little preseason and he's getting super fit. All this speculation about his weight, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. The proof's going to be in the pudding. And now, what better chance is he going to have to become an absolute legend in this league? And that's what he's always wanted to do. His letter to the Dallas fans, he alluded to that when he came, that how much he wanted, his dream was to play in the NBA, blah blah blah. He was a superstar in Real Madrid at a young age. He was a superstar in Dallas, and now he's going to be an absolute megastar in LA. And hey, he's gotten close too, Gerald. It's not like this guy has had a career that hasn't panned out. He's on trajectory. His next step is winning a chip. He went to the finals. He went to the Western Conference Finals, lost. He went to the NBA Finals, lost. There's only one way to go now. It's to play in the NBA Finals and to win. And to win in a Laker jersey where you potentially then could have a Laker, it retired, statues. Luke is never going to be more motivated. So I'm over the moon, man.
Once again, it is, of course, Mark, aka Xbox, from down under Australia. Truly appreciate him joining me, one of our basketball expertise individuals that's a part of the panelists at the Lakers Fast Break. If you're not familiar with the Lakers Fast Break, we're on over 300 days a year talking the Lakers and the NBA. And we've had a lot to talk about in the past 24 hours. We were all sit there doing the post game show for the Lakers and Knicks, Mark, and I told you, I said, I need you on. You kind of like questioning whether or not you wanted to come on the air or just moderate in the chat. I said, nope, you come on. You come on the chat. You come on the chat, and you're now part of Lakers Fast Break history. As I will again post the abbreviated version of our initial responses to the Luka trade that will be available very shortly by the end of this evening. For members, you'll get that first, and then it will be displayed at a later point in time for everyone else out there. But yes, members get that first. And if you want to become a member of the Lakers Fast Break, it's just $2.99 a month right there for you at the Lakers Fast Break on YouTube. But tell you what, we have about 13 minutes left. And I wanted to go ahead. And again, I know you're ecstatic. I know Joe's ecstatic. Our panel, for the most part, is absolutely ecstatic. We're overwhelmingly in favor of the trade. Again, for me, you're presented with one of the best players on the planet. Doesn't matter if it's not a perfect fit or not. You do the deal 10 times out of 10, in my opinion, just because the fact that, yes, he's one of the best players on the planet, and he's going to be only turning 26 later this month. So you have years ahead. Even if you're questioning his conditioning, even if you're questioning the injury history, you cannot question the absolute talent that he has. And even if you're questioning the defense, the talent still remains. And if you put the right players around him, and even if you still have time, if you put them around him and LeBron, you might have something very special up ahead, Xbox.
Yeah, without a doubt. And that's, like I said before, it's changed the trajectory of the next few years for me, where I was starting to get really worried that we were thinking AD was going to be a 1A. And guys in the chat and everyone, we got to thank AD and we shout out to him. I know I showed a little bit of disrespect over the last few weeks in terms of wanting him traded. Well, it wasn't disrespect, it was just my opinion. I always back Laker players when they're in our uniform. And we are thankful to AD. But, mate, there's no looking back now. And it's all about the future. So you're right. Obviously, we've got 3 days now, 3 or 4 days to make an impact for this season. That's one thing. You got to be smart, though. You don't want to, gut the next few years just for a trade right now. But I don't think we'll do that either. So let's just see what the team does. But of course, the future's bright. And it doesn't, like, right now you've got Luka as the cornerstone. You've still got a LeBron James that's playing at an incredibly high level. So, like, seriously, Joel, just straight up, if I asked you a question last week, the week before, last year, 4 years ago, whatever, would you trade AD for Luka? What would your answer have been the whole time?
Do it 10 times out of 10 because it's just the fact that he is a mercurial talent. AD is an all-star. AD is a player who has been a great part of the Lakers, but he has never wanted to ascend or take that next step as the alpha for the Lakers. It's always have been about LeBron James, Mark. So I think that we needed someone that's going to be the alpha in the years to come, and we found him in Luka Doncic, Mark.
Number 77. Yeah, can't wait. We found him for sure, and we got him. I spoke about this today as well, but if you look at that AD trade now, what we gave up for AD, and the fact that we got a chip, and then 5 years later we've actually used AD to then get our future. Man, that trade starts looking a whole lot better, and it's been good this whole time. But do you know what I mean? If you sort of look at the fact that at Chip, 5 years later, we've had good service from him, but then we've used him, or used is the wrong word, guys, but he's, used is the right word in this sense too, to be traded for our next superstar. We've kept LeBron as well. That's what's making this just. That's why we're still spinning out, because it's like, how did this all really happen? And why wouldn't they have traded? I don't know. What are they thinking with AD? I just don't see a long term future with him. So that's why it's still hard to believe, because Luke is the second best player in basketball. There's only one player better than this guy, and it's Joker. Certainly from an offensive end. We can talk about defending all we want, but maybe we can get a bit of help with that. Defending wasn't a problem for them to make the finals last year. People really focused on Luka. Man, Luka carried them pretty much to the finals and then played well during the finals. I watched a lot of those games, and for me, it was Kyrie. Kyrie, I think, stepped up one or two game, or maybe one game of final. You'd have to go look at the numbers, but the reason they made finals, and the year before that made Western Conference Finals when Luka played the incredible series against Phoenix, it's Luka, man. The guy, look at his numbers during some of those finals and that. It's 36, 10, 5. It's all LeBron James's numbers went 10 years ago. Like, the guy's absolutely elite. And I don't know, we don't really like talking about LeBron's sort of, unnecessary records too much, but LeBron's had obviously 2,000 odd games where he scored 10 points. It's not 2,000, it was maybe 1,300 or something. I think the next active streak, and I have to look it up, it might have changed, but it was Luka with like 300 odd games. So this guy's a scoring freak, and I just can't wait to
Absolutely.
see it. And Bay, you're right. Obviously, like, we're not going to be happy if Luka gets, all he concentrates on is the officials and that. But I don't know, man. I feel like we've got to look at the Lakers in a little bit of a different light to Dallas. And his dad spoke about it today, how happy he is with the trade and stuff. Might just completely change his mindset. He might have just been over. Obviously, there was issues in Dallas. Maybe that was
Yeah.
making him unhappy and sort of causing him to, blow up at refs too much. JJ, Jason Kidd was a great player, but Luka Doncic, man, he wouldn't even have seen any of that guy's career. He
Mhm.
saw a bit of JJ. Okay, JJ wasn't as good as Jason. We know that. Maybe JJ can get into his ear a bit. I don't know. He's always said he wanted to play for the Lakers. There's all these memes about Luka joining the Lakers. You saw the respect he has for Kobe. LeBron's his favorite player. There's not going to be a better opportunity for this guy, like I said before, to get fit and want it more than ever. And if he does that with the Laker team, wins chips and becomes a Laker legend, your life's sorted, man. So yeah, like it would be a shame, Envy, if that's where he goes down the path of eating more and complaining more at refs. We got to give him the benefit of the doubt, and you also need to look at facts too. For all that negative talk about Luca, just look at what he's done the last few years. Look at what he did at the Olympics. Like, just let's be positive. That's one thing. Obviously people look at trades differently, and there's been a little bit of negativity towards this. For me, he's our guy now, so let's back him, man. And he's not just our guy, he's the best. He's as good as it gets. So yeah, man, I just can't wait to see it. I don't know when he's going to start for us, Gerald. Obviously, it will be after the All Star break, etc., where he's not playing. Obviously, he's injured, but he wasn't eligible to play. So that's cool. You just chill out, man, and get fit and come back for us, mate. 73-point games, guys. 73 point. Who's the only other man to have, beaten that? Well, there's two, but it's our boy Cobes. Like this guy, man, he loved playing in front of Cobes and Gigi. I can't wait. I can't wait to see him balling out. Can't wait.
Well, we're actually going to stay on for our Lakers Fast Break viewers. We're going to stay on past the hour, but I am going to go ahead and close it out here for an hour. I'm not going to just verbally. I'm just going to go ahead and continue on with the show because we got such a huge crowd. I am going to keep it live. I'm going to keep going with the conversation. But before we close out this part of the hour, verbally, I'm not going to go ahead and shut it down, guys. So stay with us. I am going to go ahead and just say before we close out, we've got 4 minutes left on this hour for the Pop Culture Cosmos. I want to go ahead and get your final thoughts on this trade because I've got on the back end, I want to talk Magic Johnson. I want to talk the needs, the fit. We'll go ahead and talk about trade scenarios. A lot of people stay here with us because we're going to keep on going strong right here with this conversation. But in the last 4 minutes, I just want to hear your final thoughts on this trade as far as for our Pop Culture Cosmos listeners who will be leaving here in just a few minutes.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining us, and thanks for having me on the Cosmos for the first official time. And Cosmos guys, I know that a lot of you out there might be more interested in movies and video games, which we're very interested in as well. But I showed my phone yesterday. This is the biggest news story in Australia when this broke. So no doubt, Cosmos viewers, you've heard about this and you know about it. I've even seen a lot of YouTubers that don't touch on sport at all talking about the trade. So hopefully we gave you a little bit of an insight into the trade and what Luka means to the club and what he means internationally. But yeah, as you know, if you've got any questions, you can always hit up Gerald. But yeah, to wrap this trade up for the Cosmos, man, it's a win for us. It's a great win.
It is a great win for us. It is once again Mark, aka Xbox, live from Australia, the land down under. He is one of our great parts of our Lakers Fast Break experience. Again, for those on Pop Culture Cosmos that are not familiar with what we do, again, we're the Lakers Fast Break channel. We go ahead live over 300 days a year. In fact, after this is done, we're still going strong here on the Lakers Fast Break channel. So come by, take a look at what we got, either YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, or wherever you get your podcasts. Like and subscribe. Follow us. Do whatever you can to support us. It really helps the channel grow. We've been getting a massive amount of individuals that want to be able to listen, talk, interact. We absolutely do look at what you put in the chat. We don't ignore it like those other Lakers channels. So we truly appreciate you joining us. Again, it is Mark, aka Xbox. Mark, I am so thankful that you were able to go ahead and join me for the Pop Culture Cosmos channel today. And on behalf of everyone, I want to thank you so much for joining us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. Now, for everyone here at the Lakers Fast Break, we continue the conversation. Again, Mark, aka Xbox, truly appreciate you joining us for the Lakers Fast Break. All of our great channels that are out there covering the Lakers Fast Break, including Lakers Live and also as well Lakers Corner and Clutch Talk. Again, I truly appreciate your patience. I just had to close out. I do a syndicated 1 hour show on pop culture, so I wanted to make sure I get this impactful trade for that show. And I normally cover movies, televisions, video games, and whatnot, but I wanted to go ahead and get that hour in for that because it also gets distributed to radio stations worldwide. So I wanted to go ahead and get that in there. But now it's for you guys, the Lakers Fast Break. And one of the things that Young Yi, who is a brand new viewer, brand new watcher, truly appreciate you joining us. He mentioned as far as what does Magic think. So I wanted to go ahead and put on some of the comments that he's made about Luka here in recent minutes. So I want to go ahead and put that on here just a sec. Yes, and something I also want to show you as well that I've been harping on here as well in the chat as well. So going to go ahead. First off, his first comment, and I'm going to go ahead and blow it up here. He said, Luka Doncic going to the Lakers is amazing for the NBA, just like Shohei Ohtani was when we signed him, because remember, he's part of the ownership group of the Dodgers, to the Dodgers. I want to congratulate Lakers owner Jeannie Buss and GM Rob Pelinka. Yeah, I wonder how hard it was for him to say those words, Mark, for bringing Luka Doncic to LA to play for our beloved Lakers. So there you go. But the second thing is, and with this Luka trade, the Lakers definitely need a big man. Now, if somebody hadn't traded
Hmm.
away a certain Ivica Zubats for Mike Muscala, we wouldn't have this problem right now, would we, Mark?
No, we wouldn't. But Gerald, I know that hurts you a lot, but that was a long time ago. So whether or not Zubats would have been used in another trade, you just never know. That one was a shocker by Magic, but I think you give him a pass because of what he did as a player and other things he's done for our organization. But what great words from a Laker legend to welcome, our newest superstar. That's this thing we don't, we unfortunately don't get to hear from Kobe and what this would have meant to Kobe. But I'm sure it would have meant a lot as well because they love guys like Magic and Kobe that spent their whole career at the Lakers. That absolutely love the club. And look, I'll say this, and I don't want to go to disparaging on AD. I personally haven't seen too much outcry about, like I have obviously from people in chat, but not publicly about AD. And even when I saw KD speak, you see that message there. And sorry if he said something about AD, I'll be stand corrected. Every single time, every person that's talking about it is talking about it from Luca's perspective. Luca this, Luca that. No one's saying, "Oh wow, AD got traded. Oh, what a shame." So, man, like, yeah, fantastic words. Welcoming him to the club. Now, obviously, what we want to see is we want to see Luca in a presser for us and talking about the Lakers. That's possibly the next step, or maybe they don't have a presser and he just plays. We want to see, obviously, what our current superstar has to think about this move in due course, and maybe we won't, get all the words that we need from these guys, but yeah, look. For Magic to suck it up and thank Rob and Genie, that would have been tough. But he knows, man. He knows that he loves the club, and he knows that this has changed it. It's just. Does anyone remember we beat the Knicks yesterday? That's why we were actually on stream. Yeah, we were talking about the good win against the Knicks, and
Because
now I
they had
can't even
reached
remember
fifth
the
place in
game
the
now.
yeah,
Yeah,
they had won, reached fifth place in the Western Conference. They are coming home with a winning record on this road trip
yeah.
for a team that was really not that good on the road. It was actually a step in the right direction. They still have one more road game technically left in Los Angeles at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood on Tuesday against the Clippers. That is technically a road game, even though they're literally just 15 minutes tops. I think if you were speeding at night and it was a clear thing, I think you could get there less than 10. But away from the Staples Center or excuse me, the Crypt to the Intuit Dome, I'll just say that. But be that as it may, I think that again, that's what we forget is that people were still clinging to the hope that this window with LeBron and AD had not yet closed. I was convinced that this it had closed because I just did not see any trade or scenario that you could build around AD, like what Norm is talking about now, about for the
Mm,
future, doing that and starting in the off season, whatnot, building a roster around Luka. I just did not see a scenario where the Lakers could get a trade with whatever assets they had and build around AD and LeBron and find themselves at a level where they were going to be able to compete fully for a world championship this season, Mark. I just did not see it. I just did not see a
okay.
scenario. I had said that on the air
You've been
for
consistent about
weeks.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and I just didn't see it, and I could not see it. And I just again, there were some
and
people trying to convince us to squint our eyes real close to see if there was something. But yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't the case, my friend. But yes, absolutely. Your thoughts? I mean, you've said before you were on the Stone Hansen bandwagon, like I had been in recent weeks about maybe looking at possibly trading AD. We were talking this summer, but maybe even as early as the trade deadline, but we didn't think that would be something they would seriously consider. And again, this was not something that they facilitated or they looked out for. This got dropped literally in their laps. And you know what? Again, we have been hard on Rob, very hard on Rob. And again, the work is still yet to be done for Rob. But he had this drop on his lap and he got it done still. He found exactly the right things for them to say yes. And whether or not you say, okay, the Mavericks didn't get enough, I agree with you on that. Still, for once, Rob probably got the better end of the trade on this, Mark, and we'll see what happens next.
Oh, we got the better end of the trade every day of the week. Like there is people that don't believe that, but obviously I do. And yeah, I was saying it, Gerald, and you sort of put me on the path of thinking this because let's give Gerald and Joe and Sean and Nick and Stone a bit of credit. They had a massive stream earlier today that went for 3 or 4 hours after what we did yesterday. So thank you so much for the content that you're giving us, Gerald, because it brings us all together. And yeah, like despite the different thoughts in chat and etc., that's fine. That's what we're here for. And not even between us on the panel do we all think the same. So, but one thing that you've consistently said with AD was that worry. Did we have, you were worried after trading D'Lo. Did we trade him too early? Because could we have used him to get something else with another player, etc., etc. And that it really did get me thinking about the long-term future of the club. And
Mhm.
I don't mean to repeat myself on the stream too much, but I was consistent for a while now, and we've got message proof, and we've got on camera proof that I wanted AD traded because I was seriously concerned about the way he was letting us down in fourth quarters. Obviously, we can look at the numbers and they're fantastic. But even that for me, like the 40-20 game, his last game for us against the Hornets or whatever, good on you, man. Like that was against the Hornets. I wanted him to do it against Joker and stuff consistently, and I just didn't believe that he could. I don't know what it was with him. Just I've watched soccer for nearly 30. I'm turning 40 this year. I've watched soccer for 30 years. I've watched basketball for closely for maybe 12 or for closely for 15 years and on and off prior to that. Obviously, being in Australia, we wouldn't get the same coverage as yourself, and I've always had a keen sense on the maturity or the mental aspect of players. It's something that I look at beyond what you just see on a face value, and it massively concerned me, AD. So, and to that, I also thought, he's pretty comfortable there with old mate LeBron. Always talking it up that they're best mates, this and that. And the one that got to me the most, and I've said this before, but when they went to AD and they started talking about, hey, LeBron's now the oldest player with 30 plus games or whatever, and he joked, oh yeah, he did it 8 more seasons past when Jordan did. But then at the end, he pulled it all back and he started talking about, oh, LeBron was my GOAT. And he also spoke about the last thing he said was, which I'll never forget, man, because he shouldn't have said it, rack 'em and stack 'em. And he was talking about like achievements for LeBron. He wasn't talking about chips, man. And when I saw that, I don't know, that really turned me off. And it was probably the last straw for me that there was a lot of, like, Luka is now 1A. It wasn't like that with AD. So there was a lot of defaulting to LeBron, a lot of this, that, the other. LeBron's my GOAT, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, like obviously we know Luka loves LeBron as well. But man, you don't have to talk about the guy being the GOAT all the time. Like you're supposed to be the next superstar at the club, AD. I just didn't like the mindset for a while. And again, guys, shout out to AD. Thank you. And I'm not
Yes,
reading the
thank you,
chat at
AD,
the
for
moment because
everything.
I might be getting drilled about my thoughts on AD. But yeah, man, I've been consistent. I said it. I wanted to blow it up. I said it yesterday as well. LeBron's actually pretty lucky. He's got a no trade clause right now because they could have been wanting to change things like that now that they've got Luka. Now I'm happy LeBron's got that no trade clause because let's see what they can do together. But massive trade, man, had to be done. And AD, like we said, thanks for your service. We gave up a lot for you. We got a chip. 5 years later, we've parlayed you into our next superstar. So we'll always be grateful for you, AD. And you are a nice person, but sorry, man, it's Luca time.
It's a business, and these guys know it. When they spend or they get these billions of dollars of contracts that they signed, endorsement deals, commercials, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, appearances, memorabilia, et cetera, and they know that it's a business, and at any point in time, they can be moved. Unless, for instance, Bradley Beal is holding up everything with his no trade clause, and the same thing for LeBron, because those two have the only no trade clauses that are out there. There's others like as far as Markkanen. Markkanen cannot be traded this year because of when he signed his extension. So he gets a no. It's not a no trade clause in there, but because he signed the extension on a certain date, he cannot be traded this season. So there are individuals like that, but that's just few and far between. For the most part, there's so many. Most of the rosters are up for grabs as we head into this very important week, Mark. So I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts constantly this week. But the one thing I wanted to add, especially before we get on out, my friend, is this chat, man. This chat, ever since the trade was announced, you know, I thought, we talk Mavs. We talk Mavs is like 80% negative, 20% Kyrie now gets his chance to go ahead and lead the team. In the case of the Lakers here, it's about, I'd say, what do I say, 70-30 or 60-40 as far as for and against? As far as, would you say that about 70-30? I'm going to say about 70-30. 70-30 for and against on that, as far as 70% for, 30%
Definitely.
against. Yeah.
There's a fair
I
bit
mean, I did a
vocal. That
yeah,
30% vocal, though.
yes, absolutely. I mean, they didn't vote in that poll I did earlier today in regards if Luka will win a championship with the Lakers. But again, from what I'm seeing, I'm just, off the top of my head, I'm saying 70-30. But it still shows that there's a divide in opinion on Luka himself, in regards to, can he put the Lakers where they want him to be? Plus a love for AD as well. We can't forget that because of what he provided. But for me, it's about you with AD. AD probably has won one of his last contracts ever. He's probably, as an individual who may not play into his mid to late 30s after this contract is done because of how much mileage he has. Remember, we said at the time when he signed his extension, Mark, when he
Yep.
signed his last contract, that he signed it quickly, did not want to wait to play the entire season and get a larger extension because he knew his own body better than anyone else. And in doing so, he committed right away to the money that was offered to him instead of gambling on himself and waiting to get something bigger. So in that essence, I don't know if his time is going to be done after his current contract is ended, but I just see the fact that he already knows his body better than anyone else, and we've seen him constantly getting on the floor, constantly hitting on the floor. We used to joke about it all the time. 1 or 2 seasons ago, he has been relatively healthy these past 2 seasons, and credit to him for that. Even
Yeah.
though we still see him get hit like every game, and he's flinching like every game. Some part of his body, every single game, seems to be just hit, and he seems to grimace and limp and get through these games as best he can. But when it comes right down to it, he is still 6 years older than Luka. And to me, that's 6 more seasons you could get out of a productive high end player that you just won't be able to get from AD.
That's why the trade makes no sense from Dallas's perspective. And we don't want to keep talking about the Mavericks, but it just doesn't make, like, you can tell from what the chat's saying, there's speculation Kyrie wants to leave. The Mav fans are boycotting.
Well, the
Honestly,
thing is,
guys,
though,
what
with
they lost.
Kyrie, though, he is going to be eligible for an extension of his own, a fat one,
Yeah.
if he goes ahead and stays in Dallas. It's a lot
Look,
of cash.
Kyrie, honestly, Gerald, he's a great ball handler and he's fantastic to watch. But turn it up. If they sat there and thought they were going to give the organization over to Kyrie, because he's done it at other places. He went to Boston, failed. Went to Brooklyn, failed. Went, carried the Cavs team. They were poor. He was very young, admittedly. Man, what a call that is. It's not like he carried them when they were playing together with Luka. Luka was carrying them. So, nah, turn it up, Mavs. You've lost it. And it just, on what you just said there alone, just the age difference makes this trade completely like, why have they done it? AD might only play 3 more years. We got Luca for 10. So, yeah, man. I mean, it's an obvious no-brainer from our perspective. But we'll see what it turns out. And there's a good comment there about in the chat, or there was a little bit earlier about maybe this season is a bit of a punt type of season, where if we don't end up doing anything in the next few days, that we just obviously
And
we're
Stone
gonna
and
have to
Joe
crack.
and
Yeah,
Joe and Stone were reticent on that, and I'm thinking to myself, now you're in a position where you have with Luca healthy, two of the top 20 players in the game, just like you did with AD, but a different dynamic. I think, with the fact that you only have one real first round pick that you can trade, and you have a repetition of players, aka a playmaker who can't defend in Austin Reeves. I just think it's about time that they go ahead and shore that up. I was not an all-in type of guy with AD and LeBron because I saw that again they just can't find a window to it. With now Luka and LeBron, I do see a window. I do see a window there for the Lakers, but the thing is, they need two bigs in order to get that job done. I think they need two bigs to really help out that front line because Jackson Hayes, Koloko, Jameson.
no,
They got rid. It's so funny because Kyler Kelly comes in there, goes and plays for Dallas tonight, and he probably scored more tonight than the Koloko
yeah,
or Jameson had scored all season. So you figure that one out. But I will
yeah,
just say this again: uh, the Lakers have a bereft. They're bereft at that spot at center right now. They need to shore it up, even if it's just to placate LeBron and Luka for the rest of the season.
yeah, and that's what we're hoping they're going to do over the next few days. So we're going to have to see how it plays out and who's in that mix from our current team and how that all looks. But it's a bit of a no-brainer. That's clearly a position that we're now missing. AD didn't really want to play that position, but he was our starting center. Now you're looking at Jackson Hayes. Honestly, Jackson Hayes on a starting lineup for a championship team. I mean, I've seen more bizarre things in my life, but I couldn't see that happening. It was also a concern I had with Christie. Christie as a starting shooting guard on an NBA championship team. That didn't seem to me to be getting it done either. He's gone now, obviously, but yeah. So when we look at the lineup, the weakness now is the center position. So there's a lot of names floating around, but yeah, if you want to get something out of this season, it seems like we're going to have to do something there because of the holes we have. And man, Jamison, what's his situation there, Gerald? Is he was on a 10-day contract or something, or 10
No,
game
he's
contract?
he's a two-way. He was a two-way.
Oh, it's a
Remember, he
two-way.
replaced Olivar. He replaced Quincy
Yeah,
Olivari on the two-way. So
yeah. Well, that still annoys me. And yeah, Jamison, no man, you're cooked. But let's see. Let's just see what they can do. Is Hayes' contract so low that he's sort of
it's a
not on the
minimum.
trade
Yeah,
table? Yeah,
it's a minimum. Yeah, so
yeah.
it's like he could be in as a throw-in on the end of a trade, but yeah, he doesn't really help you unless he's like that. He's a Markeith Morris in this situation.
Gotcha.
That
Yeah,
he's just an end of the roster throw-in filler on this trade. So let's say again, And Darren says, I'm trying to trade everyone. Well, again, for me, it's about seeing that window close with LeBron and Luka. And if that's the case, I think again it's wider, much wider right now than is with AD and LeBron, because if you find the right dance partner to trade with, I think a package of AR, Rui, and a first round pick can get you some capable bigs. Not a star big. I'm not asking for a star big at this point in time. You again. That's why we talked about Orlando. Joe had mentioned it first. I'm going to give him credit on that. Jonathan Isaac.
Mm,
And if you add go, it works out. If you do the trade, I did it on the trade machine, and it does work out money wise, where you could get him and Goga Batatsi. Those
mhm.
guys have got length, they've got size, they've got rebounding capabilities, they block shots.
Yeah,
Those guys can add beef to a lineup, and again, just provide sturdy. They could do pick and rolls.
yeah,
Those guys can go ahead and do some things defensively. And you go to Orlando, a team that has really been struggling, even when they got their 2 stars back, they have been really hitting hard times. They really have a problem scoring. So you offer them offensive punch for a defensive need that you need in the middle. That's my thing.
man. Yeah. No, no. I like the way you're thinking. I don't know about Isaac as being that player though, just in my opinion and what I've
He's got
seen
the
of
knee
him.
injuries that he's had, 2 ACLs. I'm not going to
Yeah,
say wrong, but
man.
he's got
Oh,
a 5-year contract, but it does decrease. It's 25 now, but it goes down, like Joe said, to 15, where it becomes very reasonable in the years to come as your salary cap goes up. His money goes down.
yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah. So
at six,
everything's favorable. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, you always talk about changing, moving the needle. And that was when we had AD on the team. Would that really
Well,
move
this
the
moved the
needle?
needle for me.
Yeah,
I'll
it
just say
did.
that.
Obviously, the whole
Luka,
Luca things
yes.
moved the needle well and truly. But yeah, for me, like AR, I don't like that trade. Just that one you spoke about just there, AR and Rui for Jonathan Isaac and the other big man. I don't know, man. I think that might be, biting our nose off to spite our face or whatever the
Well, if you
saying is
could get
there.
Anthony
Because,
Black in the deal, who Stone loves, would that sweeten it even more?
well, if Stone loves someone, I'm going to back him because he's gotten most things right. So,
Okay, because the
um,
money almost works out for
yeah.
it. You'd have to do a little bit of cap gymnastics to
Can we throw in
differentiate
Bronny
a million.
just for a laugh?
Uh, no, I don't think you'd want to throw in Bronny while LeBron's on the team. But as much as I would like
It
to,
might make him retire.
no, yeah,
Nah, jokes.
exactly. But the thing is,
Nah.
again, how short do you think this window is? Because then, with you don't have that many assets. Let's just say you don't do anything, Mark, over the next few
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
You still don't have a myriad of assets right now,
No, or in the
or in
future,
the
really.
summer. Going in the summer, you gain a first round pick just by another year passes, so you gain a first round pick. Yes, you do,
Yeah.
but you
Yep.
still don't have a myriad of assets to deal with in the summer. You don't have a whole lot of salary cap room because right now, Sean talked about how in 2 seasons you will, even with the Luka Doncic extension, but still you're going to have you have to find
Yeah.
or talk to yourself. Do you want to win now with LeBron and Luka? That's the thing. If you do, you still got work to do.
Yeah. Well, Gerald, I mean, it's the Lakers, so win now is the only
Hustler,
way we think.
I'll just say this: Hustler, he is not available. I think for the Lakers simply because they could have included him in that Lakers trade because his salary was similar to Maxi Kleber. As far as 13 million to 11 million, you could have just worked it out, with a another $2 million player involved either which way that would have
Oh,
worked. But AD wants to play with a 5 and Lively is out. So Gafford is the only talented big that they have right now outside of Lively that AD can play alongside with that. So, they
yeah.
may trade him, but I don't think they would have. I'm sure the Lakers asked about him, but I think they had to choke on Maxi Kleber's contract to go ahead and get Luca, which is part of
Yeah.
the deal
Oh,
there.
well,
So
I mean, they had to get something back. They had to get a
yeah,
little win in there somehow.
yeah,
Imagine if we were talking about this trade and it was 80 for Gafford and Luca. I mean,
yeah.
like the trade's already elite, that would have just
That
been
would have been,
that
yeah,
would have been
that
a
would have been something.
whole
Yeah,
different level.
yeah.
Yeah, because then we would have almost been championship favorites with a healthy Gafford. We're not going to get a player as good as that, even with a trade. I wouldn't have thought. I really like him as a young player that can do the pick and roll, a perfect sort of complement to Luka and LeBron too. But he's not coming, so that's fine. Who can we get next, and what do we got to give up for it? That's the thing that really is, man.
Hmm.
Rob, to his credit, he's going to earn his money. Rob Palenka, the general manager of our team, is going to earn his money this week because they're not getting much sleep, working out different scenarios that this can go down. And yeah, man, I mean, we've made a trade for the future, which is fine. But then it's like, okay, if we at the same time this week give up AR and Rui for a Jonathan Isaac and a couple of other spuds, is the trade overall a 10 out of 10 if you're having to do that on the back of it? Not too sure. Hey, like, that's why we're not on millions of dollars making these decisions for the club. But yeah, the natural inclination is, Gerald, we've got to do something. If we can get in a big man, it's going to change the trajectory of the rest of the season, and we'll see who that is. But yeah, I just feel a little bit strongly about AR in terms of you've got to really get something to give him up in this trade. That's just my opinion, because Gerald, again, you know a lot more than me about the trade machine. Is AR like equivalent to Gabe in terms of the money? In like, do you know what I mean? So you have Rui and then you add Gabe to the deal. Is that the same monetarily wise as adding AR, or very similar? Because they're on similar contracts, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you've got to, when you're talking to anyone, you've got to say, hey, we're trading Gabe and Rui. If they start talking about AR, well, then they start adding things to the table. It's got to be, for me. I don't know. I feel like AR is still a real asset on this team, and if we can take the ball away from him and he can play shooting guard, it's just, yeah. I'd hate to lose him in this mix if the result is getting a couple of average centers and keeping Gabe. So we'll just see. There's a lot going on. Yeah, we never thought this would happen, so now we're thinking in all sorts of different directions. But at the end of the day, we've got Luca, so yeah, like everything's all good right now. But let's just see what happens, Gerald. Yeah, I don't know. I just sticking up for my boy AR, I guess. But no one's untradeable. We've consistently said that. But it's,
No one, as we've seen in the past 24 hours, no one is
yeah,
untradeable.
the future of a
And then, of
franchise.
course,
Yeah,
yeah, and of course, we saw with the trade earlier today with De'Aaron Fox going to San Antonio, Sacramento getting three picks back. Chicago, man, they just wanted to get rid of his salary. You could tell they didn't get much back, and from what I saw, they just wanted to get rid of Zach LaVine's salary in a bad way because that was 40 some odd million coming off their
dude, they're
books. Yeah,
tanking.
yeah, they're tanking.
Um, what a shame, because as I've said, I watched them, and obviously there was a little bit of a connection between him and Giddy. And did Zach LaVine ever play with DeRozan? I'm certain they would have played
Yeah,
together
they
for a
did.
little bit in the
Yes, they did.
Bulls.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I like. You know what? I really like Zach LaVine. I think he's got his haters out there, but yeah, I mean, he's another offensive juggernaut. So we'll see that trade. I mean, geez, that trade any other week would have been pretty big. De'Aaron
Hmm.
Fox to the Spurs to play with Wemby. Levine finally getting out of the Bulls. But hey, we're the Lakers, and we took that number one position for the week and forever. Now that we got Luca, but that trade is very interesting. I'm more keen to see it, obviously, from the Spurs perspective, and what Fox and Wemby can do down the track. That obviously sounds pretty elite, that combination, and like we've seen Fox obviously playing for Sacre. We get them 4 or 5 times a year. Man, he can ball, and he's super fast too. So see what happens with them. Good luck on that trade. But yeah, Fox, bro. You're not Luca, man. You're nowhere near Luca's level. So bring it on, man.
Sports Baby says where Butler's going tonight. I don't know if you heard this, but Brian Windhorst of ESPN, the much maligned with me when it comes to me what I say about him, but I will give him credit. He did go ahead and say it on Twitter that representatives for Jimmy Butler have reached out to Golden State, and he is not interested in playing for them. Uh, this guy doesn't
Yeah,
have many choices. I don't care if he wants to go to Phoenix. He can go to Phoenix, want to go to Phoenix all he wants, but if Bradley Beal does not want to leave Phoenix,
yeah,
he won't be going to Phoenix. So I guess playing for Curry at this stage is probably not an attraction for him. I
mm,
just that just seemed to be very surprising when he didn't leave
yeah.
his options open. I guess he likes being suspended and staying home. As far as that's concerned, right now in
He's not
Miami,
getting
I'm
paid,
sure he
but
has. Yes, is it a
360.
paid
Yeah,
suspension?
gotcha.
Yeah,
I think it is, Gerald, but I don't know how that
okay.
works down the track with the,
Yeah,
they
I'm sure
eventually
the
get money
players' union
back. And
yeah, will
yeah,
probably go ahead
I'm
and,
sure you
and
don't
fight for
just,
that.
forego 360K a game. I'm
Yeah,
sure that's not how it works out. I mean, people still
yeah.
need to live even though they're rich. So, that doesn't sort of transcend into the world that I've been in with business and things. It's not how you treat anyone. So, in terms of the monetary side, but he's asked for it, Jimmy. And man, what a fallout between him and Riley. You don't want to cross Riley, man. That old mafia mindset, he will take you out. And look at Jimmy. Jimmy's been their best player in the last, obviously since Dwayne left, or before that, Dwayne and LeBron, obviously. But man, he
Mhm.
carried them to finals, and yeah, they've had a huge falling out. And man, you know what? Maybe Jimmy's looking at it going, I can't play with Draymond. Draymond is so polarizing. Could you imagine those two in a locker room? That for
Yeah.
me was crazy, man. That could have, honestly, the way Jimmy acts, he could have got there, day one, day five, he's already asking for a trade from them. That's how crazy the guy is at the moment. So uh, I don't know. Jimmy, you're old now too, bro. Like for me, he's not a real game changer. I mean, he could be, obviously a third scorer on a championship team, but you're gonna need a better running mate than just Steph Curry. And they're not gonna have much left there in the Warriors. So I don't know. Jimmy's Jimmy. We'll see what happens there, but I'm glad that we had a little bit of early speculation about Jimmy Butler and the Lakers. Man, that was making me even more sick than the future with AD. Because if we gave up anything to get that guy, I would have lost my mind. And I respect him a lot, man. I'll never forget him rocking up in between. I think it was like a Heat road trip. He rocked up to the Gasol jersey retirement. And obviously, they've got a close relationship. So, it's not like I don't like the person there. But yeah, I think I don't know, he's too old, and there's a worry on his health as well, and constant falling out with teams. So yeah, Butler's going to be an interesting watch as well over these next few days. Because what do they do if you go past the trade? Like obviously they just sit him for the rest of the year or something. I mean,
Yeah.
that
Because they
rarely
can't waive
happens.
him. They
Yeah,
can't waive him because he could pick up the final year on his contract, which is $51 million. Then they would have to eat that. But he was trying to look for an extension. His idea was that he wanted to get an extension from Miami. Miami balked at that because they wanted to wait and see how he had performed. He still has an option year, so he still has control of that situation. But if he declined that, he would become a free agent, but it looks like he doesn't want to do that now because he will not get anywhere near $51 million on a per year basis if he signs an extension with anybody. And I guess whatever reason why he didn't want to sign with Golden State or trade to Golden State, because I guess Golden State's he said he wouldn't sign with an extension with Golden State. So whether it was for how much money or they've talked about or whatnot, he just maybe just didn't want like the location, like you said, didn't like playing with Draymond, what have you. So yeah, it's very interesting to see how this Butler situation plays out over the next few days. But yeah, it's
yeah,
again, you can't do anything. In Phoenix, you could try. Like I said, like Kurt said, you can steal Bradley Beal's kids' lunch money all you want,
Yeah.
but if Bradley Beal doesn't say yes to a trade anywhere, he ain't going anywhere. He
Nah,
ain't going
and
anywhere.
really, I don't know what it like. Does it? Why would you trade Bill for Butler? Like Bill's
I,
played okay in the last few games, and it doesn't like
and
it's not like
Butler's
Butler.
older, mid
Oh wait, yeah,
30s.
I know Bill's got a pretty ugly contract on the back end, so they might,
Yes.
obviously they've made a poor decision overall with Bill. But right now, just trading those two players, it's not like getting a call from Nico to trade AD for LeBron, for Luca. It's like getting a call to trade the same player. It's I don't know why Phoenix, who have already sacrificed so much to get players like Durant and that, are then going to go sacrifice more to get an old Jimmy Butler. That's crazy to me. I don't think that that's happening, Gerald. And for me, like you'd be wanting from their perspective to bring in a ball handler to get the ball away from Booker so he can concentrate back on scoring. Now, I know he's okay in assists, but it's not his strong point. Imagine if you got a ball handler in there to facilitate to KD and to him. That makes a lot more sense than bringing in Jimmy Butler. So, man, hey, I hope you go there because for me that rules the Suns out real quick, and they're pretty much ruled out at the moment. So we'll see. Like that doesn't make sense. Just wanted to talk about that point from Hustler. Exactly what I thought, and I didn't make the point. But it was like imagine if we traded Kobe when he was 25. That's what the Mavericks have just done, man. They've traded their next generational talent for a player that's 6 or 7 years older on the downhill. People keep telling me AD's in his prime. No, he's not. The prime was the last 5 years, particularly after the chip. Those were the prime years, and he couldn't get it done. So,
He's still playing at a high level,
yeah,
though.
of
I mean,
course,
a really
Gerald.
high
No,
level.
you're right.
Earlier this
But
season, he was playing at an MVP level. So,
yeah, but he was still going missing in big moments, and I'll be consistent with that. And maybe I got to
but
go
that's
back.
not this season thing. That's not a this season. That has happened
Yeah,
repeatedly during the season, last season.
yeah,
And remember
and
he
then
missed, yeah, more than one occasion. He's missed free throws at the end of games,
bang,
mistakes at the end of the games, what have you. This is not just a one season
constantly
thing.
out of position too, standing around the
Yeah.
3 point line at end of games. And then what was happening therefore was we were defaulting to LeBron, and then we were getting cut at what LeBron was doing at end of games. But who do you think is going to have the ball at end of games now? The best closer in the game, Luka. So man, sick trade like that. I just can't wait to see him in the jersey and just to watch him because yeah, and they keep making the point that it's not going to be long until we turn on him. But when you're watching him in a Mavericks jersey and he's blowing up at the ref, that's a different story. When he's in a Laker jersey, we might feel that he's blowing up correctly. So, man, I don't care about like the vibe of him at the Mavericks. It's all about what he does now. And wow, what an opportunity for the last 18 months, 2 years of LeBron's career to pass on the knowledge to Luca and from Luca to learn from him and the discipline around the body and all that. Let's just see how he takes to all that. Luca, he's a
I
superstar
mean,
too,
because
and he's
Dallas is getting a guy who's scoring what 27 points a game, almost 13 rebounds a game, about a block and a half to two block shots a game.
they're getting a
You know,
nice player.
yeah,
We know
they are
that. When
getting
we're
a great
getting
player.
ADs, maybe a top five big man in the game. Maybe. But I also we've said it. I think Chat's pretty consistent. There was concerns about him, and he still wasn't 1A. I don't know if it was like I said before, the respect, the relationship he had with LeBron. Something was holding the guy back, man. Because at what point, when you're turning 32 and your running mate is 40, when was this baton change going to happen? It still had not happened in big moments. And unfortunately, the game's changed a lot as well, Gerald. And
Yeah,
AD, he's not a strong 3 point shooter. And you were, and today, is he under 30%? Did he end
He
under?
is under
There
30%.
you go.
Remember, yeah, before he got injured, 29.8, and I was going to stick it to Laker time, which I still will do at some point in time. So yes.
Yeah, yeah, definitely do that. So he wasn't a good 3-point shooter, which is really important for the game right now. So, man, we'll see what happens. Just shout out to Aussie too. I think John in the chat, which John is my middle name as well. So shout out to you. Is Aussie. And I don't think he's been on YouTube before. He's obviously on our playback and other mediums. So, man, thanks so much for joining. I'll just read this question out.
Yeah,
Usually with
absolutely.
Kurt, yeah,
Yep, with Kurt Affair. Kurt Affair
yeah.
right there for you.
I always have to proofread with Kurt if it's a joke or not, but this looks like a
No, this was
question. So,
serious. It's actually a legitimate question from
yeah,
Kurt there.
good one, Kurt.
I
So,
know,
Gerald Amar,
surprising, isn't it?
that's right. Yeah, well, I proofread it. If you're starting the team from scratch with Luka, what do you surround him with?
That's a
Dude,
good question. Where do you start? Let's just say
how
you got
about
clean slate.
Ant Man?
Clean slate.
How does Ant Man sound? How about getting AD back? No jokes. Um, yeah, well, it's Kurt. I mean, the first thing, and I think that's the tone here, and the worry, is that Luca's proven to be really successful in the pick and roll, and now he doesn't have a pick and roll partner with us. Certainly, Hayes can try, but like if there was no LeBron on the team, Kurt and etc., the running mate for me would be a really good big man, and then you start filling in the other spots. And maybe you have some key 3-point shooters there that can defend. That's why the mix overall with us looks a little bit odd right now, but we had to pull the trigger on the trade. You couldn't have not done this. You're getting the second best player in the league, who's younger than the best player in the league, an international superstar. So you had to pull the trigger on it, and we didn't feel like this team currently constructed with AD and Max. Let's not forget Max. God, man, Max was much maligned, guys, and he was starting for the Lakers. So, like this elevates us in a different way, and I'll never forget John's reaction and my back and forth with him yesterday when it all went down, because he was yelling that this makes us
Yes.
weaker, and I said, "No
Yes.
way, John!"
He
And
was the only one that was adamant
he,
against it.
yeah, but he came round. He came round. And to his credit, yeah, no, it was a no-brainer. We would have, I said I would have flown from Australia. You would have flown across the world to get it done. It had to be done,
Yes.
guys. So now it's about the next few days. Hopefully, we get in a position to be mega competitive this year. If we don't, hey guys, we're still going to be okay. We got Luca for AD. Like, you're going to do that. So let's see what happens. And then moving forward, okay, we're in an even better position next year, the year after. And the good thing is, we didn't lose one of our picks as well. So we've got an opportunity to turn that into something now. But yeah, man, Luca, thanks for coming to the club. We know you
Absolutely,
wanted it.
indeed. And I just dropped 4 members here. It's going to be there up there in a couple minutes. For members, you're going to get the first exclusive video right there for you for the first few hours. It's going to come up later tonight or later tomorrow night, as I'm saying this, for all of our other members out there, for our public out there. But for our members right now, they're going to get a video of our initial reactions, about 10 minutes long. It's going to come up there in just a couple seconds for all our members out there. So I wanted to go ahead and put that in there. But yeah, great question on that. Jordan said Wendell Carter Jr. from the Magic. Yeah, he is their starting center. I mean, that's obviously somebody we can get that. Absolutely, Jordan. I still would like to see them get Goga along with it. As far as I think they need more than just one big body. I would feel more comfortable with 2 big bodies, especially the fact that we just have such ineptness with Jackson Hayes, who has so many bad defensive just absolutely attention to detail. And then also as well,
Yeah.
Coloco's did not amount to anything. Laker Tom's latest greatest center ever, as he talked about leading into when we signed him. And then, of course, what we talk about with Trey Jameson, who's proven out to be nothing. And if Quincy Olivari becomes something, Mark, we're going to really, really lambaste Rob for that one. But yeah, we'll just wait and see what happens there. But yeah, a lot of good things that can happen. But it is going to be a very big week here in. Oh, shut up, Joe. By the way, Joe's in the chat.
I
But
saw
anyways,
that, and I also
yeah,
saw Nick T had to get his customary Kelly Olynyk reference in. So
yes, still loves
uh,
his Kelly Olynyk. We only have
yeah,
one second rounder left to trade. That is our own in 2025. So that's the only second rounder we have left to trade. So there you go. If that's the case for the 52 number
nah,
52 pick,
keeps
you want to keep
Kelly's
the
the
number
girl's
52
name. I
pick?
don't know what's going on there. I don't want him anywhere near the club. Let's move on.
You don't?
Nick,
Okay. All
nah,
right.
Nick loves him, and we'll respect Nick's thoughts. But nah,
Yeah, we
change your
need two
name,
bigs.
retire,
Dante's
do
right. We need
something.
two bigs. We need two bigs.
Yeah,
We have
I'm
such
thinking that's a
ineptness.
consistent thought. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just what we've got to give to get them, and
yeah.
that's what we're not involved in those discussions. So that's the next 3 or 4 days and how that's going to play out. But yeah, when I look at it, I think I said this a bit earlier for guys that weren't here. This morning I received calls from my body corporate because I'd been noise complained yesterday with my reaction to the trade. Somehow after the stream, I broke my thumb in excitement. Now it's just a game change, and like I said to you, I could barely sleep. Like, yeah, for some really big sporting moments in my life, being going for Spain when they won the Euros and the World Cup and the Euro, and they won the Euro last year, and Barcelona's had a lot of success with Messi. This trade, man, I'll never forget the moment. It meant so much, and there's guys in chat like Darren, yourself. I respect, the essentially guys that have been following the team for many years since the glory days of the '80s, and even before that. And then you've seen what happened with Shaq and Kobe, and then Powell and Kobe. But wow, for the young fans, and I shared this message with Gerald and Joe and a couple of the other regular panelists, that my nephew was just screaming about Luka coming to the Lakers. Now, my brother goes for Brooklyn, his other son goes for Golden State, but my nephew, one of them, goes for the Lakers, and just how much this meant getting Luka. Because he's a young player too, guys. AD is he's not an old man, obviously, but he's been around the league a lot longer, and he's not as popular as a Luka. So this means a lot to kids and gives them, something like we had with Kobe, in our younger years, and Magic before that, with to grow up with a player like Luka, generational talent. And we've had it, LeBron, thank you for coming to the club as well, and the 2020 chip. But LeBron, to me, doesn't feel like, obviously he's played for 3 other teams. So LeBron is a Laker, but he's also a Cav. He's also sorry, he hasn't played for three teams in total. He's also a Heat player, and he won chips with them. Luka can come here and be a Laker legend, and someone that we can look forward to for the next decade. See us into in my case, Gerald, my 50th year potentially. In your case, you can answer that.
I
Joey the
won't answer
same.
that.
Yeah. But you know what I mean. Wow, what an exciting, decade that we potentially got to look forward to. That's the talent that we got in. Obviously, sometimes things don't work out, but as things stand, that's the talent we got in. The guy just went to the finals carrying a team. Then he went to the Olympics with a nation that has 2 million people, guys. Think about how many people you have in your hometown or your home state or in New York City or in LA. This guy's got a country of 2 million people and he almost won them a medal. He is an absolutely special player. So, man, talk about the AD trade. We'll miss AD, of course. But guys, let's get on board, man. Let's get on board because this is our superstar now, and I'm happy with it,
You know,
man.
one
I'm absolutely over the moon.
thing I want to add on Yes, as am I. I'm really happy about it. But again, there's a percentage of the individuals in our chat that I have to respectfully say that they feel otherwise, and I don't blame them. And then, of course,
Yeah,
John Costa initially was against the trade as well. We'll see how these attitudes change over the course of the weeks and months to come. But before we head on out, one last thing I want to hit you up with is actually something Norm brought a really good question. And Norm, thanks for joining us, and you put some really good questions tonight along with Kurt. Yeah, a whole bunch of people out there that have been doing it.
yeah.
We've had a really good for a late night show. You guys have really come in flying colors, and I
Thanks.
truly appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe. Please help out the channel. Like and subscribe before you leave. It really helps the channel. But before we head it out, Norm says, consider whether Reddick is the right coach. He is more unyielding than Kidd. Will Doncic respond well to that style? And in recent weeks, I had been kind of rough on JJ
Yeah,
Redick because as I said, going into the season, he's a rookie coach. He's going to have his ups and downs. He's going to show you some things that are different, something that he liked to have, always done when he was a player. He's going to show you some sets and movements that, like, and early on, when they were 10-4, you got to see that the ball was moving, offense was really flowing well. Connect early in the season was taking advantage of that, but there were some things that were very troubling signs, like for instance the way it's not just the personnel, the way he was setting his defense was not very good. Sometimes second half adjustments, he getting his lunch handed to him by more experienced coaches. But that New York game, he put out a
yeah,
game
man.
plan. He did very well. I went on the air and I gave him full props for it because he deserved every little bit of it as far as how well he executed that game plan in New York without AD at MSG. So going forward,
Yeah.
that's a good question that Norm brings us. How will Doncic respond under JJ?
Uh, well, and I made
That's the
the
one thing we have not talked about on this show, this
No, no,
channel.
no. Yeah,
None of
I
the other
touched
guys
on
have
it
talked about it.
earlier,
Oh,
and
did you? Okay.
well, yeah, I said one thing about JJ. This is a little bit of a well, it's you had to make the move, but it also is a little bit of a backing of JJ. I believe. I mean, I see they must see it as maybe they can grow together, or that JJ, they're hoping is our long-term coach. Well, they're
Mhm.
pairing up with Luka Doncic, and I joked before that man, Jason Kidd, in that interview today with Nico Harrison, I wouldn't be surprised if he's calling the Lakers and saying, "Hey, can I come back as an assistant? Because I want to play. I want Luka in my life still." He was absolutely devastated, man. So, good point by Hustler as well, and something I forgot. They actually played together too. I don't know. I've always felt this about coaches, and it's not proven to always be the case. Certainly, when I look at some of your sports, like with Belichick and some of the older characters, but you can't tell me as a 26-year-old man that you're not going to feel closer to someone that's 40 and just played in the league, someone you played with, than say a Jason Kidd. Okay, Jason Kidd's probably a rare exception because he was a brilliant player and he played for the Mavericks too. And maybe that, but
I
uh,
would not put brilliant in that conversation
yeah,
with JJ.
sorry, Jill. Well, a
He was
very,
that
very good player.
serviceable veteran. He's at the starter level for the Clippers. When his shot and his athleticism
Oh, you're talking
declined,
about
he did
JJ.
too. Yeah,
So I was
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd's obviously a legend. But I just feel like having someone closer to your age. JJ seems to me to be very disciplined still in the way he keeps himself and his body. And so, man, I don't know. Like, ultimately, at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out with JJ, it's adios and get someone else in that Luca likes. But that whole thing would have been considered in this mix. And for me, JJ, we've seen signs of, shocking signs. We've seen rookie signs. Then we've seen brilliant signs. And no one can tell me that we're not in a better position than we thought we'd be in. Despite, he's putting up with the Bronny thing too. He went crazy the other day, bringing in Bronny and playing him. We know that, guys. But who knows what's going on there? The chats he's having with LeBron, they got that wrong, and he admitted it and went pretty hard at Bronny after the game. So he's got to learn. I like JJ much more than I did Darvin Ham, and that's just me. You know, guys, that I'm a soccer guy, and then I'm a basketball guy. But when I look at just the way, like I looked at the way Ham would coach, it was cooked. I know we made the Western Conference Finals, but it felt like that was on the back of just a pretty elite playoff run by LeBron in particular, and you know, against Memphis and Rui stepping up and Lonnie Walker hitting timely shots. There's a lot that went right, but when we got to the crunch time against big teams, we were always failing. JJ's got us into a better position in a wins and loss perspective up until this point of the season. So yeah, we're gonna have to ride the bumps with him. But going back to the question, you know, in terms of the connection between Luka and JJ, I'm not worried by it. I'm not worried by it. In fact, I'm excited by it because the thing that I found a bit strange was, you know, obviously he's very close to LeBron, but JJ was going to sort of ride out the rest of LeBron's career and then going to have an aging AD there. This gives JJ a huge window to develop, and you know, and hopefully he develops alongside Luca and we win chips. You know, that's the end game here. So I'm personally not worried about it. But we're also a team that's all about winning. So if that doesn't transpire, then JJ is going to be on the chopping block, unfortunately. But right now, I'm super positive about it. And the fact that they were colleagues as well, that can't hurt, unless they had a fallout. Don't know.
Yes, unless. Again, it was reported earlier today. Somebody on CBS said that there was problems between. What's up, Jeremy? Yes, you know that supposedly there was problems between LeBron and AD and whatnot, and LeBron categorically denied that was the case. In fact, he said that the guy was an effing liar, as I posted up there earlier today. Yeah, absolutely. Because and everything that that guy says, I forget his name on CBS Sports. If you want to go ahead and check it out, that video, their
Yeah,
insider. Everything he said was absolutely and categorically the opposite of what Shams, the guy who broke the trade and also reported on exactly all the particulars on the trade, on who knew when he was told who knew what when, was the exact opposite. So again, this guy is a loser from CBS Sports. Don't ever watch that, that
yeah,
garbage.
trash.
Just gonna
Yep.
leave it at that. But again, I'm gonna go with Shams. I've seen Shams live network. I've seen him work.
Yeah,
I've actually he ran. I told you when he bumped into me while he was trying to glad hand and network with dozens of people at halftime of the
yeah.
Wemby game when he
You said
first
that.
came to America. Yeah. So again, I
He's
have
obviously an
seen him,
impressive young guy, Gerald. Like, you know, he's
and
taken
I've
over
had.
from Adrian Wojnarowski, who, you know, you might have liked or not, but even I knew about Adrian 15 years ago because he was the
Yeah.
dude for Yahoo Sports. Like to
Yes.
take over, yeah, Shams, man,
And sometimes they are mouthpieces for
yeah,
agents, and I
yeah,
get that, and vice versa. Sometimes they are mouthpieces for general managers' offices. In this
of course,
case, he has been spot on with everything that he has
yeah,
said so far, and has been able to back it up. I got to go with him on this one. Okay, I'm not always there with him, but on this one, I am
yeah,
going to go
agreed.
ahead with him on this one. Braun did not know ahead of time, and if he did, he didn't have any control or say over it. And again, this is something where I think it
Joey's
speaks for
call about
itself.
Shams yesterday, Joe, was so funny. He didn't even
Yeah,
know the guy's name. That was
no, he didn't.
classic. He was
Even
not
though I,
happy.
even though, yeah, he didn't even know how to say his name correctly. Even though I've said his name like 10,000 times, it just shows you when we say something, Mark, he
Nah.
absolutely does not listen. It just goes in. It go. This is the way the sound waves go. When you talk, this is his head. His head is so hard it bounces right
Nah.
off, and he just doesn't listen to anything we have to say. This again,
You know,
it's
Joe,
just
Joe's my boy.
yes, but
shout,
he again,
shout
he
out to
probably
Joe.
forgets. He's probably forgotten everything you've said ever.
Nah,
So
nah.
there.
Oh, yeah, and oh, yeah, we'll shout out to him just one more time. We don't want to give him too much
There you go.
praise.
Oh,
But
I'll give
man,
him.
he,
Yeah,
yeah, you don't want to give him any. But John,
you know what? I will
uh,
give him credit though. He has been here for a ton of hours
hell yeah,
here helping you
And
guys
that's
out
why
there. And
I hope
yeah,
you heard
so
when
I
I
give
said
him a ton of
thanks
credit for that. I will
to you and
absolutely a
him
ton of credit for
before.
that. Yes,
Because
yes,
man, yeah, wow, what content you've put out over the last couple of days, and you can just
yes,
see with the amount of people that are still here at, is it 12 o'clock at night for you now, where you are, Gerald?
yes,
6 for me, on a Monday
yes,
afternoon, but you can just tell what it means, and
yes,
I'm sure there's a lot of people here that wouldn't mind Joe on the show, but they're sticking around because it's Laker talk, baby. And
yes.
it's got us buzzing, man, and it's only the start too.
Trojan, I'm going to say this: if he wants out, I'm sure he can find an out. But he is due an extension this summer. And if he does well and he plays well and the team gets to the playoffs and maybe has a run, Dallas will probably flaunt him a big extension because they don't have to throw $345 million Luka's way. Maybe they only need to throw out for a middle-aged 35, 34, 35, whatever Kyrie is. He's 33, 33. So a
Yeah,
33-year-old Kyrie Irving, they can throw out maybe $150 million per se, or something
yeah,
thereabouts. That's substantially less expensive for them long term. So that's something maybe more appealing to them, Trojan. I mean, you were not the only one who has speculated that Kyrie may be bye bye, but if he's talking about the sheer money, Mark, now that he's been on Dallas now for 2 seasons at the end of the season, unless he gets traded within 3 days,
mm,
he will be eligible for bigger money there than anywhere else.
yeah. Well, look, I don't know, man. Like, how much money do these guys want? And is that his ultimate
Could be
drive?
the last. Could be the last big
Yeah, yeah,
contract he
yeah.
ever gets.
Yeah, oh, for sure. With his age, absolutely. But how did they go from thinking that Kyrie was the second player in the team to now take carrying the team for how long? That doesn't make sense, man. And he's never, like I said before, he's never proven that he can carry a team by himself. So that's insane to have thought. But on the flip side, I also don't think he wouldn't be thinking that way in terms of, man, where's my future now? Because like I said before, he came to play with Luca. He said it. Also, Clay came to play with Luca. All the big boys there loved playing Luca. Man, they absolutely love this bloke. They're shattered right now. You can't tell me, oh yeah, Kyrie's absolutely ecstatic that they brought in AD and got rid of Luca. Like Kyrie was fine with the big man they already had at the club. Obviously, that's going to give him something because you've lost a whole lot. But man, insane trade from their perspective, and the fallout. I'm telling you, it's gonna be big, man. Kyrie's been disciplined, yeah, for 18 months. You remember some of the shenanigans he was pulling in Brooklyn? Okay, I know it was COVID and things like that, but he also was crazy in Boston as well. The friction between him and LeBron at the end was very strange. He also has come out and done stupid stuff against LeBron over the years, and next thing you see them, he's acting like his best mate. Kyrie Irving, man, if you think that that's your future and you've traded Luca to keep, that doesn't, honestly, it just doesn't make sense. No one can tell me that makes sense. I don't see them winning a chip with with Kyrie and AD as their. I keep joking about it, but they traded for a 1B player. So now you've got two 1Bs. You got Kyrie and AD as your two 1Bs, and we got two 1As. So thanks for coming. Kyrie, good luck to you, man. You could have also come to the Lakers in the last couple of years. But of course, man, they're going to be angry. They've lost. They know it. And I said this before, boys. Look at all the reactions at the time from the Portland players who found out about the trade when they were playing to KD, his words, which, often he might be in a hazy town or whatever he likes to do, but he went hard. And the reactions on Twitter about the trade, it was all about Luca. It was not about AD, man. They all know how special this guy is, man. Every player says it. Clay said it. So yeah, man, we got like honestly, like, and I'll get over it at one stage, but that's why everyone's saying it. Like they can't believe what's happened here, Gerald, because the Mavericks seem to have just gone crazy and given us a deal that it's just hard to believe what's happened. We could not believe it at the time. Shams's account was hacked. We still didn't believe it when we found out it wasn't hacked. That's how insane it was, and we might not believe it until we see Luka in a jersey. But it has happened, and man, we got the best young player in basketball now in a Laker uniform, and they got Kyrie and AD. Turn it up.
I will say this: we're going to close it out with Jeremy's last question here. Jerry, can we discuss how and why the Mavs didn't put Luka on the market and take bids? From what we're seeing, as far as the reporting is concerned, they went straight to the Lakers because Nico Harrison. Once I'm assuming the directive came from management, or the assessment was made by management and ownership that they just didn't want to commit to a long in the neighborhood of right around $350 million. Once they came to that conclusion, they said, okay, Nico, where do you want to turn next? Where do you want to turn for a player if we're going to go ahead and move Luka? So evidently, Nico Harrison's first, I guess, direction, because it has been noted that Nico Harrison has been on the record, I guess, publicly talking about AD before, is that
Yeah,
he wanted to go ahead after AD. So I guess the buck stopped with
man.
AD, and he approached Rob with it, and Rob, for however long they work it out. I mean, that's whatever you want to hear the reports, whether it's a few days or a week, few weeks, as for what you're talking about with the reports there.
Yeah. Well,
Rob got it done, and Rob didn't let him go. Yes,
yeah,
once this
and
was brought to
Gerald.
him, he didn't let him leave out the door, as they would say.
Yeah, your internet seems a little bit scratchy at the moment. I'll just let you know, Gerald, and I know we're going to wrap it up soon anyway. But man, I'm telling you right
Yes.
now, we should all get Nico Harrison's address and send the bloke Christmas cards for the next 4,000 years. And when he gets sacked from the Mavs, which should have happened today, in my mind, let's give him a job, a thank you job, because the guy lost his mind with this trade. I'm sorry, like he's now made Rob look like a good GM. Rob traded for Westbrook. Yeah, man, it's a crazy trade. Their fans are going psycho. And what he got in return, and why he didn't ship this, even to try to make the Laker deal, a little bit more palatable from his end, whether it be a Rui in the trade, or maybe not a Rui, but the remaining pick we had. Everything just seemed to have gone our way for once, and it's not always worked out like that for us. I know we've had some gun trades like Gasol back in the day and things like that, but it hasn't always worked out for us. So Nico Harrison, man, I don't know what you were doing, what you were drinking, smoking. I don't want any of it. But man, when you lose your job, there'll be a nice thank you job waiting at the Lakers, because what you've done is just assure our future for 10 years, and you have put yourself in a really horrible position. I think that's
Once
just
again,
fact.
yeah, it absolutely is. But Mark, I cannot thank you enough for stopping by, my friend. It's been a great time talking to you. I know that we have another NBA conversation because it's going to be NBA observations. Legend 350 wants to join the show later today. It's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. So if you want to join us for that, please go right ahead. I'll have a conversation with him about the Luka trade, the De'Aaron Fox trade, and all the NBA trade deadline news. I hope to get more NBA experts over the next few days as well, along with Mark's continual opinion. We'll obviously cover the Lakers post game for the Clippers. That's coming up on Tuesday, and so much more. So, yeah, it never stops here at the Lakers Fast Break. And of course, Joe, Sean, of course, Stone. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone just truly stopped by. Laker Nick stopped by earlier today.
Yeah,
Absolutely great
oi,
to see you.
hey, when's the
Yeah.
last time he got on a stream? He's been pumped.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, it's
Absolutely.
brought everyone out, and it will
Yeah.
continue to do so, and
Yes.
it won't stop because, like we said before, Luka Doncic is an international superstar, guys, and we're gonna see that. We're gonna see it. We've already got a big boy in LeBron. This is as big as it gets right now out there in the world of basketball. So absolutely over the moon. And just quickly before we do go, thanks to the chat. Some great constructive criticism and constructive dialogue. Joey in the end there, having a bit of laugh, which is always good. So yeah, thanks to Gerald and Joe and the boys for the content. And yeah, man, let's go Lakers. The next thing for me is obviously get through this period where Luke is getting himself right, get past that All Star break, and let's see Luke and Magic in a Laker uniform. Man, it's going to be unbelievable.
It is. It is indeed. Kurt Affair, truly appreciate you modding as always. Sports Baby, who was here earlier as well. Jeremy, we need to make sure it's with Luca drinking that beer. Yeah, we will indeed. But Jeremy, I'm just glad you're around with us to go ahead and watch what you're doing there. So truly appreciate it, mate. Yeah,
Yeah.
always hit me up. Lakers Fast Break at yahoo.com. Kurt says, everyone in the chat has been great. Please like and subscribe to help this channel grow. I cannot say enough. We've improved, 30 followers since the Luka trade has gone down. So
Wow.
I am immensely grateful. If we can get more, it is even more greatly appreciated. Again, members for just $2.99 a month, $2.99 a month, right now can check out our initial reactions. 10 minutes. It's a 10-minute long video with our initial reactions. You guys wanted a shorter video with our initial reactions to it, so you will get to see that if you're a member right now, and it will come up later in probably sometime this evening. I think 7 p.m. Pacific for everyone else. But if you want to see it right now, $2.99 a month indeed. But also as well, articles, extra videos. I throw a whole ton of stuff there right there if you're a member for just $2.99 a month. Indeed. But again, like and subscribe. It really helps us out. And again, we'll be back later today, unless there's another trade that goes down. We might have to do another emergency breaking news trade. We'll see.
Man.
But again, we will be here at the very least. We'll be here at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Looking forward to having more conversations. Mark, you've been tremendous for the Pop Culture Cosmos, Lakers Fast Break, Inside Sports, Lakers Live, and also as well Clutch Talk on Lakers Corner. It is Mark, aka Xbox, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. We'll see you very soon because it's the busiest NBA week of the season. It's trade deadline week, and we'll bring it all to you right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.